Welcome back to the channel, where we explore rare coins, their history, and the surprising treasures that might be hiding right in your pocket. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most talked about quarters in numismatic circles, the 1968 Washington quarter. Now, this is a coin that's been around for decades, but one example has been valued at a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. Yes, a quarter, worth more than a luxury home, more than some exotic sports cars, and more than most people make in a lifetime. So what's the story behind the 1968 quarter? Why is it so special? And could you be holding one without even realizing it? Let's find out. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was meant to be a commemorative issue, but it was so well received that it became a permanent fixture in American currency. The obverse of the coin features the iconic profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. For decades, the reverse displayed an eagle with its wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, a strong symbol of American peace and strength. By 1968, the United States Mint had already gone through some big changes. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the Mint had removed silver from circulating quarters. That's right. Before that, quarters were made of 90% silver. But starting in 1965, they were changed to a copper-nickel clad composition to reduce costs. So the 1968 Washington quarter is part of this newer clad era. That might make it sound less exciting, but don't be fooled. There's still something incredibly special about this coin. In 1968, the U.S. Mint produced quarters at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and for the first time since the 1950s, San Francisco. But here's the key detail. The quarters made at the San Francisco Mint in 1968 were not intended for circulation. They were special proof coins, struck with extra care for collectors. They have a mirror-like finish and sharp details. So if you happen to come across a 1968 S quarter in circulation, that's your first clue that something unusual might be going on. Now here's where things get interesting. The story that made headlines and sent collectors into a frenzy involves a 1968 quarter that was believed to be a transitional error coin, possibly struck on a silver planchet, a leftover blank from the pre-1965 silver coin era. This is extremely rare and would not have been something the Mint intended. A coin like this would have to be an accidental creation, somehow slipping past quality checks and ending up in circulation or in a collector's hands. Experts and collectors believe that such a coin exists. In fact, there have been confirmed cases of other late 60s coins being mistakenly struck on silver planchets. Combine that type of error with a high mint state grade, meaning the coin is in nearly flawless condition, and suddenly, you've got something truly one of a kind. One example of a 1968 Washington quarter with these extraordinary characteristics was reportedly valued at over $1.8 million in a private sale or auction estimate. While details about the buyer are scarce, the coin's existence has become legendary in the numismatic community. What should you be looking for if you have a 1968 quarter in your collection or pocket? First, check the mint mark. A 1968 quarter with a D mint mark was made in Denver. Without a mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. But if you see an S mint mark, that's a San Francisco proof coin, and those should not be in everyday circulation. If you find one with that S and it doesn't have a proof finish, you may want to have it checked. Next, weigh the coin. A regular copper-nickel clad quarter from 1968 should weigh about 5.67 grams. But if you suspect your coin was struck on a silver planchet, it'll weigh closer to 6.25 grams. That slight difference is crucial. You can buy a digital scale online for just a few bucks, and it might lead you to a big discovery. Also, check the edges of the coin. Regular clad quarters have a visible copper-colored stripe along the edge, but silver quarters won't. If your 1968 quarter has a clean, silver edge with no visible copper, it's worth a second look. Condition matters too. A coin graded MS 65 or higher can bring in significant value, especially if it also has an error or is a rare variety. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the more pristine the condition. Coins in top condition are rare because most quarters from 1968 have been in circulation for over 50 years. How do you find out if your coin is worth anything? First, examine it closely for errors, condition, and weight. If it looks promising, consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services will authenticate and grade the coin and put it in a protective holder, which is essential if you're looking to sell it or insure it. Even if you don't have the million-dollar coin, the 1968 Washington quarter is still an important piece of U.S. coin history. Uncirculated coins can fetch a few dollars or more, and proof coins, especially deep cameo examples, can sell for significantly more depending on the condition. But beyond the money, what makes this hobby special is the hunt. The excitement of pulling a coin out of a drawer, flipping it over, and realizing it could be something rare and valuable. That feeling never gets old. It's history you can hold in your hand at SO. The next time you come across a 1968 quarter, take a good look. Check the mint mark. Weigh it. Look at the edges. You might just have a rare coin that slipped through the cracks. And who knows? You might be holding the next $1.8 million discovery. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious and potentially valuable 1968 Washington quarter, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. We have more stories like this coming your way, from valuable pennies and nickels to rare error coins you won't believe. And if you've ever come across a strange or unique 1968 quarter or any coin you think might be valuable, share your story in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow collectors and coin hunters. Until next time, keep your eyes open, check your change, and happy collecting. Would you like me to help you add a visual guide or timing for video editing, or export this into a script file format like PDF or docx? Welcome back to the channel, where we bring you stories of hidden treasures, rare coins, and the fascinating history behind the change in your pocket. Today, we're diving into a coin that might seem completely ordinary at first glance, but under the right circumstances, could be worth over $1 million. That's right, we're talking about the 1993 P. Washington quarter, a coin that has made headlines for an eye-popping $1.1 million valuation. So how does a simple quarter from the 90s reach that kind of value? What should you be looking for? And could you possibly be holding one without even knowing it? Stick around, because we're about to uncover the full story behind the 1993 P quarter. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a fixture of American currency since 1932. It was originally introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The front of the coin, also known as the obverse, features a profile of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. The reverse, until the late 1990s, showed a heraldic eagle with wings outstretched and arrows in its claws, a strong patriotic symbol and an iconic part of U.S. coinage history. Now fast forward to 1993. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small letter P on the coin's front just to the right of Washington's ponytail, struck over 639 million of these quarters that year. That's a lot of quarters, and at face value, most of these coins are worth exactly what they say, 25 cents. But as we've seen time and time again in the world of coin collecting, there are always a few exceptions that can change everything. So why is there talk of a 1993 P quarter selling or being valued at over $1.1 million? What makes this coin stand out? It all comes down to three factors: rarity, condition, and error. These are the big three that can take a common coin and turn it into something truly extraordinary. And in the case of this legendary 1993 P quarter, it's believed to be a combination of all three. The story goes that a 1993 P quarter was discovered in nearly flawless condition, with an extraordinary strike and a highly unusual mint error. The coin was said to be graded by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC at an almost perfect mint state 70. That level of perfection is practically unheard of for circulation coins, especially those struck in the early 1990s. Most coins that go through the normal minting and distribution process have small scratches, contact marks, or wear from machines and handling. But this one was different. On top of that, the coin was rumored to have a rare transitional error. Transitional errors happen when a coin is struck using the wrong type of metal planchet, often left over from a previous year or intended for a different denomination. In some cases, these errors are the result of mix-ups at the mint, and they're incredibly rare. Sometimes only one or two of these ever surface. If a 1993 P quarter was accidentally struck on a blank mint for another coin, say a dime or even a foreign coin, that would immediately make it a standout. Add to that its pristine condition and potentially being a first strike or proof-like specimen, and you've got a recipe for something truly unique. When you combine perfection with a dramatic error and extreme rarity, collectors go wild. And in a world where rare collectibles can command sky-high prices, a $1.1 million valuation doesn't sound so far-fetched. But let's keep things grounded. Most 1993 P quarters are not worth that much. In fact, the majority of them in circulated condition are still worth 25 cents. If you have one in better condition, say, uncirculated with no major scratches or wear, it might be worth a couple of dollars to the right collector. If you're lucky enough to have one in near-perfect condition, maybe graded MS 65 or higher, the value could jump into the double or even triple digits. So what should you look for if you want to find a potentially valuable 1993 P quarter? First, check the condition. A coin in excellent shape, with a strong strike, shiny surfaces, and no wear or damage, is always going to be worth more. These are the kinds of coins collectors are constantly searching for. Second, inspect the coin for errors. Look closely for any signs of doubling, misaligned designs, off-center strikes, or unusual features that don't look like they belong. You might even find a coin that was struck on the wrong planchet, thinner or thicker than normal, or a different color. Even small errors can sometimes mean big value. Third, consider getting the coin professionally graded. If you suspect your quarter is in unusually good condition or has a strange feature, companies like PCGS and NGC can authenticate and grade your coin. Not only does this add credibility, but a high grade can significantly increase the market value. Grading costs money, but for the right coin, it can be worth it. And remember, stories like the $1.1 million 1993 P quarter may sound rare, and they are, but they also remind us that hidden treasures can be found anywhere. People have found rare coins in parking lots, old coin jars, inherited collections, and even tucked in wallets that haven't been touched in years. The point is, coins like these are out there, and it never hurts to check. Coin collecting isn't just about finding that one big win. It's about history, craftsmanship, and the hunt. Every coin has a story to tell, and sometimes that story turns into a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you get a quarter and change, don't just toss it in a vending machine or the cup holder of your car. Take a moment. Check the date. Look at the details. Because you never know. That 1993 P quarter in your hand might just be the next $1 million find. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into coin collecting and rare US quarters, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss a new upload. We've got more incredible coin stories coming your way, so stay tuned. And if you think you found a rare 1993 P quarter or have a coin collecting story of your own, leave it in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow treasure hunters. Until next time, keep checking your change and happy collecting. Would you like me to help add voiceover cues, visual suggestions, or turn this into a downloadable document for your scriptwriting workflow? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and exploring one coin that has made headlines for its surprising value. We're talking about the 1990 D Washington quarter. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that many people still have lying around in old jars or tucked into drawers could be worth a fortune, and in one jaw-dropping case, was valued at over $1.3 million. So what makes this coin so special? Is it just hype, or is there real money in that little piece of change? Let's break it down. First, let's talk a bit about the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative issue, but it ended up replacing the Standing Liberty quarter permanently. The obverse features a portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, and has remained mostly unchanged for decades, though there have been a few special editions over the years. Now fast forward to 1990. That year, the Denver Mint produced over 927 million quarters. That's right, nearly 1 billion coins. So, logically, the average 1990 D quarter shouldn't be worth more than face value. But in the world of coin collecting, it's not just about how many were made. It's about how rare certain variations are, and the condition there end up. So why is the 1990 D quarter getting so much attention? There are a few reasons. Point one of the biggest is a story that surfaced about a highly unusual 1990 D quarter that sold or was valued for as much as $1.3 million. Now, before you go rushing to check your change jar, there's a catch. That specific coin wasn't just any 1990 D quarter. It had a unique mint error combined with a nearly flawless condition, officially graded by a top-tier grading service. We're talking about a coin that's not only ultra-rare, but also a perfect specimen in terms of strike, luster, and preservation. Let's break that down a little. In coin collecting or numismatics, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 70 or mint state 70 is considered a perfect coin with no flaws visible under magnification. Very few coins ever achieve this status, especially coins that were meant for general circulation like the Washington quarter. But this particular 1990 D quarter was special. It had no mint mark error, and according to collectors, it may have been a test strike or produced under unusual conditions, possibly even on a different planchet. That's the blank piece of metal coins are struck on. Some experts suggest it might have been part of a small batch that was never meant to be released to the public, making it essentially one of a kind. And in the world of collectibles, rarity drives value. Now let's talk money. A regular 1990 D quarter in circulated condition is typically worth 25 cents. In uncirculated condition, maybe $1 or $2. If you have one in mint state condition, say MS 65 or better, it might fetch $10 to $20, depending on the market. But if you somehow come across a coin with a rare error or a perfect strike graded by PCGS or NGC at MS 68 or higher, you could be sitting on a small fortune. So what kind of errors should you be looking for? Keep an eye out for off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and any other anomalies. Even coins with striking errors can sometimes bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars, especially if they're in good condition. Let's circle back to the story of that $1 million quarter. There's still some debate in the collector community about whether the $1.3 million valuation was based on a private sale, an auction estimate, or hype. But the truth is, it brought major attention to the 1990 D quarter and got people talking and digging through their coin collections. So here's what you should do. First, check your change. Look through your old coin jars, check the dates, and inspect any 1990 quarters you come across. If you find one with a D mint mark, that means it was struck in Denver. Take a close look at its condition. If it looks almost brand new, it might be worth getting graded. Second, consider sending potentially valuable coins to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll evaluate your coin, assign it a grade, and seal it in a tamper-proof holder. This adds credibility and can drastically increase its market value if it turns out to be a high-grade or rare error coin. Finally, even if you don't strike it rich with a $1 million coin, collecting quarters is a fun and potentially rewarding hobby. You never know what might be sitting right under your nose. And who knows, that loose change in your car or old coffee could be hiding a treasure. So there you have it. The 1990 D Washington quarter, an ordinary coin with an extraordinary story. Whether it's worth 25 cents or $1.3 million, one thing's for sure. It pays to pay attention. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you think you've got a valuable quarter in your collection. We love hearing your stories. Until next time, happy hunting and keep checking that change. Would you like me to format this into a downloadable script file or add visual suggestions for YouTube editing? Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins, where we uncover hidden treasures and bring you the real stories behind the coins in your pocket. Today, we're diving deep into the 1991 P. Washington quarter. It may seem like an ordinary coin at first glance, but this one has captured the attention of collectors around the world. There's even a story floating around about one of these quarters being worth as much as $1.2 million. That's right, $1.25 turned into a $1 million payday. But how? Why? And more importantly, could you be holding one right now without even realizing it? Stick around because we're breaking down the full history, the facts, and the mystery behind the 1991 P. Washington quarter. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. It was first minted to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, by sculptor John Flanagan, features Washington's profile on the obverse, and for decades, the reverse showed an eagle with outstretched wings. Simple, iconic, and instantly recognizable. Now, the P in 1991, P stands for the Philadelphia Mint. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 571 million Washington quarters. That's a massive number, and on the surface, it means these coins are very common. Most 1991 P quarters you'll find in circulation today are worth face value, just 25 cents. But as every coin collector knows, value isn't always about quantity. It's about quality, rarity, condition, and sometimes the errors. The real buzz started when collectors started talking about a 1991 P quarter allegedly selling or being valued at over $1.2 million. And this isn't just clickbait. There's a real story behind the coin that caused such a stir. Now, let's get one thing clear. Not every 1991 P quarter is going to be worth thousands, and definitely not a million. But certain rare combinations of features can make a coin exceptionally valuable. In this particular case, the coin in question wasn't just in average condition. It was struck with near perfection, graded at the very top of the coin grading scale. We're talking about MS 68 or even MS 69 level. Mint state coins at that level are almost flawless, with sharp details, brilliant luster, and no visible marks even under magnification. Coins that pristine are incredibly rare, especially ones that were meant for everyday circulation. Some experts speculate the million-dollar coin may have had an unusual mint error or was possibly struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it was struck on a blank metal disc mint for a different coin type or year. Others believe it was a first-strike specimen, which is a coin struck using brand new dies before they start to show signs of wear. First strikes often have sharper details and are more desirable to collectors. Another possibility is that the coin was struck with proof-like qualities even though it wasn't officially a proof coin. These are sometimes called presentation strikes and were never intended to be released into general circulation. In a rare event, one might slip through the system and end up in the hands of someone who has no idea what they've just found out. Oh, how do you know if your 1991 P quarter could be worth something more than 25 cents? First, look at the condition. If it looks sharp, shiny, and nearly untouched, you might be looking at an uncirculated coin. That alone could bump its value up to a few dollars or more. But if the coin is in pristine condition, with no scratches, strong luster, and razor-sharp details, it might be worth sending it in for professional grading. Next, check for any unusual features. Double die errors, where the coin design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process, can be incredibly valuable. Other errors like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or coins struck on the wrong metal can also bring in big money. And of course, rarity plays a big role. If your coin has a unique combination of errors, features, or historical significance, it could be worth a lot more than you think. The $1.2 million coin was valuable because it was an outlier, a one in a billion kind of coin. It's the type of coin that turns a casual collector into a headline. Let's be real. The odds of finding a 1991 P quarter worth $1 million are extremely low, but the odds of finding one worth $50, $100, or even $500, that's very possible. Every year, people discover rare coins in their pocket change, at yard sales, or in old family collections. The key is knowing what to look for. So here's what you should do. If you find a 1991 P quarter in exceptional condition, don't spend it. Put it aside and do a little research. Compare it to graded examples online. You can check sites like PCGS, NGC, and eBay sold listings to get an idea of what similar coins are going for. And if you think your coin might be something special, consider sending it to a grading service. It could cost around $30 to $50, but if it comes back with a high grade or a rare error, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Coin collecting isn't just about making money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the stories behind the metal, and the tiny pieces of history you can hold in your hand. The 1991 P Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something ordinary can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. Whether you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned expert, don't ignore the quarters in your pocket. Take a second look, because you never know when a small piece of change might just change your life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about valuable coins, rare errors, and collectible treasures, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And hey, if you think you found a rare 1991 P quarter or have a coin story of your own, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and always check your change. Would you like suggestions for visuals, transitions, or background music to go with this script for your YouTube video? Welcome back to the channel where we explore the most surprising stories behind everyday coins and the incredible value that may be hiding right under your nose. Today we're focusing on a coin that millions of people have probably spent without thinking twice, the 1980 P Washington quarter. It looks like any other quarter you'd find in your change, but some collectors believe a rare version of this coin could be worth as much as $1.5 million. That's right, one single quarter potentially worth a fortune. So what's the real story behind the 1980 P quarter? Is it truly worth that kind of money? And what should you be looking for if you come across one? Let's dive deep into the history, the minting details, and the mysteries surrounding this legendary coin. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. It was originally introduced to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin quickly became a permanent part of American currency and has remained in production for decades. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features a profile of George Washington on the obverse, or front, of the coin. Until the late 1990s, the reverse featured an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and peace. Now let's move to 1980. This was a year of economic change in the United States, and the mint was still producing Washington quarters using the copper-nickel clad composition. This means the coin has a core of pure copper with outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. It's the same basic composition we still use today. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 635 million Washington quarters in 1980, all bearing the P Mint mark, located to the right of Washington's ponytail, at first glance. That production number might make you think these coins are incredibly common and not worth more than face value. And for the majority of them, that's true. A typical 1980 P quarter in circulated condition is only worth 25 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, most sell for a couple of dollars at best. But as we always say in coin collecting, it only takes one special coin to change everything. So where does the story of the $1 million quarter come from? It all centers around one extremely rare and unique example of the 1980 P quarter that is believed to have been struck with an extraordinary mint error, possibly even on a leftover silver planchet from the pre-1965 era or a foreign planchet. There's also speculation that it may have been struck using proof dies or struck multiple times, creating a dramatic and obvious doubled image. Combine that kind of error with a near-perfect mint state condition, and you have a coin unlike any other in existence. Collectors believe that one such 1980 P quarter may have sold or been appraised for around $1.5 million due to this extremely rare set of characteristics. While the exact details of the sale are often debated and sometimes wrapped in mystery, the buzz around this coin is very real in the numismatic community. It's the kind of story that reminds us why coin collecting is so fascinating. Because even in a batch of over 500 million coins, there can be one that stands out so much it becomes a legend. So now the real question is, what should you look for if you have a 1980 P quarter? And how can you tell if it might be something more than just pocket change? First, start with the basics. Look at the condition of the coin. Coins that are in mint state, meaning they have no wear from circulation and still retain their original luster, are always more valuable. If your coin looks nearly brand new, with no scratches or dings, it might be worth setting aside for a closer look. Next, pay close attention to the details of the design. Check for doubling in the lettering, especially in words like Liberty or I in God We Trust. Doubling happens when the coin is struck more than once with a slight shift, and these double die errors can make a coin significantly more valuable. That you'll also want to weigh the coin. A normal 1980 P quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less than that, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. Planchet errors are rare, and they're highly desirable to collectors. If you have a digital scale, it's worth weighing all your older coins. You never know what you might find. Check the edges too. Most modern quarters have a visible copper stripe along the edge, thanks to the copper-nickel sandwich composition. If you find a 1980 quarter with a solid silver edge, it might have been struck on a silver planchet by mistake, a rare and valuable error. If you suspect you've got something rare or unusual, your next step should be professional grading. Companies like PCGS or NGC can authenticate your coin, grade its condition, and determine if it has any rare mint errors. A high-grade coin with a major error can be worth thousands, or possibly much, much more. Even if your 1980 P quarter doesn't turn out to be the million-dollar version, the hunt is still worthwhile. Uncirculated examples in mint state 65 or higher are already collectible and can sell for $10 to $50 or more, depending on the market. And certain error coins from that year have been known to bring in hundreds or even thousands at auction. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises. A coin you've passed over for years could end up being a treasure. That's why collectors say, always check your change, always look at the details, and never assume a coin is worthless just because it's old or common. So the next time you come across a 1980 P quarter, take a closer look. You just might be holding something rare, valuable, and historic. Maybe even the next million-dollar find. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story about rare and valuable coins. We have new videos every week that dive deep into coins, currency, and hidden treasures. And if you think you've got a rare 1980 P quarter or a coin with an unusual error, let us know in the comments. We love hearing your stories and helping you figure out if you've got something truly special. Until next time, keep collecting, keep learning, and always keep checking your change. Would you like me to help you format this script into a downloadable document for video planning or add visual cue suggestions for video editing?